Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of organizational behavior. We're using a pretty fascinating framework from our source material that's all about how to quickly, well, how to read a room.
Exactly. And more than that, how to read the true flow of power and energy in that room.
Yes.
We're diving into a key text on behavioral analysis, workplace dynamics, and we're zeroing in on this one sub-excerpt called Signs at Work. Who's leading, who's gossiping, and who's daydreaming?
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our mission here is to figure out why these three, they seem pretty random, right? Leadership, gossip, and daydreaming. Why are these the essential trio, the signs you need to spot? This is all about giving you a shortcut, a structured way to understand the climate around you without getting bogged down in, job titles and official descriptions.
And that's the core value. It's about synthesis and efficiency. We're not just looking at good versus bad behavior. Not at all. We're looking at three core human activities that, when you see them together, they cover influence, they cover communication flow, and they cover engagement levels. Basically, the ingredients for success or, well, failure. The authors picked these three because they give you the most insight for the least amount of observational effort.
So let's start with the big picture concept here. Workplace dynamics. This is way more than just the org chart hanging on the wall.
Absolutely. Workplace dynamics is all about the invisible currents. The power, the trust, the respect. Those are the things that dictate what's really going on far more than any official policy.
It's the engine room.
It is. And the sources argue that the formal stuff, like annual reviews or surveys, they just capture sanitized old data. It's not the living, breathing process.
So relying on official documents is like, trying to navigate a ship by only looking at the blueprint.
That's a great way to put it.
But why are these real-time signs so much better?
Because they're unfiltered data. High-fidelity data. A survey, that relies on what people say they do, which is always filtered through aspiration or fear. But observing these signs, that's about watching what people actually do in the moment. If you want to know if people trust a manager, don't ask them. Just watch. See who they look to when a hard question comes up. That's the data you can rely on. It lets you diagnose where the energy is flowing or where it's just draining away.
That makes perfect sense. We're looking for behavioral clues that get past all the corporate speak. So the source gives us these three pillars. Let's dive into each one.
Okay, let's do it. Leadership, gossip, and daydreaming.
Let's start with that first sign. The source phrases it as a question. Who's leading? And this is clearly not just about finding the CEO in the room.
Not at all. It's about emergent influence.
Emergent influence.
The source really emphasizes that. You're looking for the person who, no matter their title, they could be a VP or, Bob the junior analyst, suddenly gets this unspoken permission from everyone to take charge when things get messy or unclear. That is earned leadership energy. And it's only revealed by how everyone else behaves around them.
But wait, isn't that influence sometimes corrosive? It's easy to imagine an emergent leader who's charismatic, but is actually pushing really destructive ideas or, leading a rebellion against a necessary change.
That's the critical nuance here. That's exactly it. Leadership in this framework is a neutral sign.
Neutral. Oh.
It doesn't tell you if the influence is good or bad. It just tells you where the momentum is coming from. If Bob starts directing people and they just do it, he's signaling leadership. Now, if he's leading a great new process, fantastic. But if he's leading the charge to ignore a critical safety rule,
then you've got a huge problem.
You've got a major internal fracture, a failure of the formal structure. The sign just points you to where the real influence is.
So identifying where that leadership energy is flowing, and maybe more importantly, where it isn't, is the fastest way to get the real hierarchy.
It's a map, an observable map of how power is really distributed.
Okay, so now we move to the second sign, gossip. This has such a negative, unprofessional vibe in most places. Why is who's gossiping treated as such a key piece of information right up there with leadership?
We have to just set aside the moral judgment for a second.
Okay.
And just look at it functionally. Gossip does two things. First, it's like a pressure release valve for the organization. And second, it's the #1 indicator of the informal communication network.
The informal one.
Yeah. Official communication is slow, it's vetted, it's often missing key details. Gossip is fast, it's raw, and it fills in all those gaps.
So if, say, a big change is announced and 5 minutes later, 3 different teams are already talking about the financial details that were definitely not in the official memo, that's significant.
Extremely significant.
Yeah.
The speed of that spread shows the agility of the trust network. Who trusts who enough to share something that's unverified?
And the direction must matter too.
Oh, absolutely. If the gossip is mostly side to side, peer to peer, that often signals a healthy team sticking together.
Mhm.
But if it's all going upwards, like junior staff complaining to senior mentors about their managers,
That's a red flag.
that flags a massive trust deficit with the formal leadership.
So the content itself might be negative, but the network it travels on reveals the real architecture of trust and power. You track who starts it, who passes it on.
And you get a blueprint of the social organization. It reveals where the unofficial veto power is. The person who can kill an idea just by raising an eyebrow over coffee. They're often a key node in that gossip network.
Wow, okay, it maps connection and trust. I get it.
Exactly.
So that brings us to the third sign, and maybe the most surprising one, daydreaming. Why put who's daydreaming on the same level as these two heavy hitters leading and gossiping?
Because the body language of disengagement is a critical observable measure. It's a measurement of cognitive load and engagement. If someone is visibly checked out, the look, eyes unfocused, posture slumped, it's a signal. It signals that whatever's happening externally, the meeting, the task, it has failed to capture their internal resources. Leadership maps influence, gossip maps communication.
In daydreaming maps, mental availability.
A most critical resource of all.
But hold on, I'm sure we both know people, myself included sometimes, who will zone out for a second specifically to solve a tough problem, to block out the noise. Can the sources tell the difference between that and just burnout?
They do, yeah. They address that by looking at duration and context. The source suggests that a short mental break during a complex task you're doing on your own, that can be deep processing. Not a negative sign.
Okay.
But if the daydreaming is prolonged, especially in a group activity, a critical meeting, somewhere that requires interaction, then it becomes a huge sign of disengagement or overload. The person is basically signaling that what's in their head is more important than what's in the room.
So if you're in a strategy meeting and you look around and see widespread collective daydreaming,
That's the alarm bell.
a huge alarm bell.
It's a flashing danger sign. It means the content, or maybe the leader, is failing to connect. It's a collective withdrawal of mental energy. And that's why this sign is so essential. It tells you how much energy is even available for the tasks that your leaders are trying to set.
Oh, okay. Let's try to synthesize this. The source material clusters these three things together for a reason. Influence from leadership, communication from gossip, and engagement from daydreaming. It's an interconnected system.
They're fully interdependent. They create a kind of diagnostic matrix. The real power of this isn't just spotting one sign, it's seeing the combination.
Ah, okay, give me an example.
All right. Say you observe high gossip, lots of it, combined with widespread daydreaming. At the same time, the formal leaders are nowhere to be seen. Low leadership visibility.
What does that tell you?
You've got a dysfunctional dynamic. You've got cynicism, disengagement, and a communication network that's just filtering negative information instead of moving work forward.
That completely changes how you observe things. You're not just ticking boxes, you're looking for patterns. So what's the flip side? What combination should you look for in a really high-functioning environment?
A high-performance environment would show clear, non-conflicting leadership. The formal and informal leaders are aligned. You'd see moderate, constructive gossip information flows fast, but it doesn't get toxic. And critically, you'd see very low daydreaming, high mental presence.
And that alignment means everything's pointing in the same direction.
It signifies organizational coherence. The energy, the communication, the engagement, it's all supporting the same goal.
So this gives you, the listener, a shorthand, a way to understand the underlying climate very, very quickly. You don't get lost in 1,000 details. You just focus on those three things.
The goal is to maximize your analytical efficiency. Just focus on the behaviors that reveal power, connection, and mental availability. And this works, by the way, whether you're in an office or trying to read body language over a video call.
So what does this all mean? It means you now have a focused, actionable lens for observation. You can move past the job titles and see the real living dynamics of any group almost instantly.
And that brings us to a final thought for you to take away and explore. If leadership gossip and daydreaming are the really visible surface-level signs, what crucial information or potential conflicts are being completely hidden by the observable absence of these activities? Because sometimes, silence can reveal the deepest fears of a system.